their slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers.
During the event, the rapper shared some very personal details surrounding Kim Kardashian's first pregnancy, telling the crowd they considered abortion. At one point, the rapper screamed, "I almost killed my daughter. I love my daughter." He also said, quote, "Even if my wife wants to divorce me after the speech, she brought North into the world even when I didn't want to."
When Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people. She just had the slaves go work for other white
people. The Underground Railroad is controversial and often misunderstood. Most of what we know about fugitive slaves comes from reminiscences of people later on, which are interesting, but often not 100% reliable. The earliest writings on it tended to greatly exaggerate it. They had maps with clear routes. No, it wasn't like that. The way to think about it is these local groups that assisted fugitive slaves, they were in communication with each other, so fugitives could be sent from one to the other. But it wasn't a fixed system, it wasn't a set organization. If anyone founded the Underground Railroad, it was David Ruggles, because he created an organization called the New York Vigilance Committee, which was a mostly black organization with some white support as well. Its primary aim at first was to defend black people against kidnapping. There were kidnap gangs on the streets of New York and Philadelphia. Particularly, they would grab children, just nabbed off the street and taken to a boat and shipped off and sold into slavery. It was a very courageous act to try to escape, but they kind of knew that there were people out there who could help fugitive slaves. Sidney Howard Gay is very important to me in my work on the Underground Railroad. He was the editor of a weekly newspaper in New York City called the National Anti-Slavery Standard, but he also was using his office as a place to help fugitive slaves. 1856, he kept a record. He called it the Record of Fugitives.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Recha HaKwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom! Peace to the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, I want to go on this video. Why am I going on this video? Because what I'm seeing in the media with, the so-called black man, okay, you Israelites, which is the natives, Latinos as well. We seen this thing with Deshaun Jackson come out in the open and say he found out he's an Israelite. All of a sudden, he's not an Israelite, or he believes in the Jewish doctrine now, and he loves all, okay? But he mentions Louis Farrakhan. Then here comes Nick Cannon, same deal, the black Israelite, okay? So-called black Israelite. He mentions Louis Farrakhan. Then he repents, so to speak, and get re-educated. Now you have this guy Kanye West stepping on the scene, and I'm sure there'll be many more. Kanye West comes out, what they hear him say, talk about, he wishes his daughter wasn't born, and Harriet Tubman never freed slaves, okay? Which she helped not free slaves, just send them from one captivity to the other. Okay, everybody wanted the easier captivity, I'm sure, and some went to Canada as well. But I'm going to show you in this video that what Kanye West said was actually right. And what they're trying to do is demonize Jake, because this man knows he has but a short time, okay? In fact, let me get that in Revelation 12:12, and then I'll get to this thing with Harriet Tubman. In the truth, the scripture says the truth shall make you free, okay? All the lies that this man has perpetuated us in school, and a lot of you so-called black people, you just women worshiper, Queen of Heaven worshipers. You know Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. You know the history of America, at least some of you do. And they put African American on us. You know all these things, but somehow you believe they're going to tell you the truth about Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Anyway, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Okay, and the sea, yeah, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth but he had but a short time. And this is what he's using this media to do, man. You know, nobody takes this man serious. Why would he sit there and act like he's running for president? You know, half you people don't even believe that. Cameras and reporters there. You know, you can't see a lot of this stuff is set up, man. Anyway, anybody seen the 12 years of slavery? Okay, when the guy named was Solomon, I believe his name was, and he was a great musician. Okay, and they came and kidnapped him and took him back down south and recertified him as a slave, so to speak. So you had railroads from coming up north and railroads going down south. Okay, and it wasn't just Harriet Tubman. In fact, the Underground Railroad was not even started by Harriet Tubman. And a lot of you people, you know, you get the notion because, you know, they wanted to take the so-called black woman and put her up high as a queen. They wanted to put her on the money. Okay, they wanted to put Harriet Tubman on the money, which would have been absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's go on here. Let's go to the History Channel. Since a lot of you people don't read. Okay, and I've done videos on this prior. Okay, but this is disgusting to me, so I'll keep reading. Okay, I'll keep doing videos on this. It says Quaker abolitionists. Okay, that's what it says. We'll show you that there were people who started the Underground Railroad, and you got to understand, this was never our rest. We was coming into slavery. You really think a black woman escaped? When I was young, they taught me that in school as a 5-year-old. I thought the woman, you know, you look up to your mother. Yo, my mother's great. This is a woman is an example of my mother. You thought she dug some tunnel with a shovel by herself, went and got people and drove them up to another part of the country. That's insane. How could she go from one part of the country to the other just on foot? You know? Anyway, let's go on. The Quakers are considered the first organized group to actively help escape slaves. George Washington complained in 1786 that the Quakers had attempted to liberate one of his slaves. Okay, and a lot of these historians will say there was a good time that blacks and whites were working together. Well, they're doing the same thing. Okay, Nick Cannon, okay, Deshaun Jackson, they all working together, ain't they? But one's a rich man, one's an owner, and the other one's a slave. Same damn thing. Anyway, in the early 1800s, Quaker abolitionist Isaac T. Hopper set up a network in Philadelphia that helped slaves on the run. At the same time, Quakers in North Carolina established abolitionist groups that laid the groundwork for the routes and the shelters for escapees. Okay, so we can understand how when you go on the subway, that's why you have what you call a conductor, the one that runs the train. And this is why you have your tunnels and things like that. Okay, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, established in 1816, was another proactive religious group helping fugitive slaves. Okay, so this is before Harriet Tubman came about. So I don't know why you people think that Harriet Tubman was the only person and the only one that went down, dug tunnels, made an underground railroad. You people live in fairy tale land, man. That's just as crazy as Santa Claus. Okay. What is an underground railroad? The earliest mention of the Underground Railroad is in 1831 when the slave Tice Davids escaped from Kentucky into Ohio, and his owner blamed an underground railroad for helping Davis to freedom. In 1839, a Washington newspaper reported an escaped slave named Jim had revealed under torture his plan to go north following the Underground Railroad. So, You people don't understand what the North and South was about, the fight, the wars was about, you know, the Civil War. What do you think that was all about? It was about money. It was about slaves and ownership. The ones in the South, it's real simple. They didn't want to let their slaves go. So the North, okay, they was like, well, we need to set up some type of railroad, underground station, so to speak, and let's help get some of these slaves. Not to mention the Quakers supported and helped Harriet Tubman, giving her weapons and the men that was with her weapons. Go read. She didn't do this by herself. Okay? Now she had a part in it because she had successful missions that they claim was led by her, but it was easier for her because nobody would expect a woman, especially a so-called black woman. Okay? I'm going to keep it clean. But nobody was expecting that, so it worked. And who knows what she did to infiltrate and get close to get those other slaves and bring them up here to Maryland, believe it or not. But it wasn't her by herself. They were already underground railroads and conductees performing that. So Kanye West was right. She was taking slaves from one portion of America to another portion and further up into Canada. Okay? All you got to do is read. It's not hard. It's not hard to put it together. Let's get to the point. I want to get to the point. Let's go here. People known as the conductors guided the fugitive slaves' hiding place, included private homes, churches, schoolhouses. You had this happening in slavery too, where you had some so-called white people trying to help out, which could have been Jake too. I don't know. For some wanted slaves. Look, we were just up for grabs. Cheap labor, cheap slaves. What would you do if you was under hardcore torture in slavery, right? And somebody else is willing to be your master, but treat you with somewhat form of decency and respect? That's where you're going to go. This is the same thing we do in our jobs. You go to a job, you don't like the way your boss treats you. They have you clock out and don't pay you for lunch. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to go to the other plantation that's going to treat you better. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to go there and get paid better. Okay? Anyway, it says these are called stations, safe houses, and depots. The people who operated them were called station masters. Okay? I don't want to go too far on that, but I just want to hit the point. Let's go to Harriet Tubman's point. Her thing. It says, Tubman later returned to the plantation. Well, let me go here. Born a slave named Aramina Ross, she took the name of Harriet Tubman, was her married name, 1849. She escaped the plantation in Maryland with two of her brothers. See that? It was her brothers. And they was the ones that probably say, hey, let's go. Right? They returned a couple of weeks later, but Tubman left again on her own shortly after, making her way to Pennsylvania. Right, that's where the Quakers were. So she made it to the so-called white man, and the white man helped her return. She just didn't return on her own. She took some people with her. You can go in deep into research and read that as well. Okay? Tubman later returned to the plantation on several occasions to rescue family members and others. On her third trip, she tried to rescue her husband, but he had remarried and refused to leave. Why? Harriet Tubman had the backing of the so-called white man. Look, the so-called black woman today represents Harriet Tubman because they got the backing of the so-called white man. This is why they're doing so well in this society. Okay? The way to destroy a nation is put them over you. And this was one of the biggest lies amongst not only a nationality of people, but over the sex of people, of people's sex, putting this woman up high like that. She was this great underground railroad specialist. She had help. And the Quakers even gave her weapons. They gave her a gun. If you could believe that. Look it up. Distraught, Tubman reported a vision of God, after which she joined the Underground Railroad. So wait a minute. She wasn't even with the Underground Railroad. She wound up joining the Underground Railroad after the Quakers helped her. And they found out she did a good job. They said, well, why don't you be part of us? Come on, man. She joined the Underground Railroad and began guiding other escapee slaves to Maryland. Tubman regularly took groups of escapees to Canada, distrusting the United States to treat them well. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say that she wasn't some form of heroic in doing what she's doing under the people that set her up, you know, if that's what you want to call it, you know. But this man, when you read the history, I ain't got time to go back into that. This man, Tice, I think his name Tice Davis, he was one of the first ones. Okay? Let's go to Nahum 3:1. It says, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. Everything this place was built on lies. Everything was about lies. That's what it was all set up upon, you know. You can't escape that, you know. And this is what the media do, you know, to try to stain us. You know, they're mad at this truth coming out about the Israelites. Okay, so I don't find it really heroic that a so-called black woman will take you from, or any so-called black person would be set up by another group of slaves, owners, and take one owner, use you to get one slave to another. Why didn't they do it their damn self? You were just used. You know, why didn't they do it their damn self? If not Harriet Tubman, it might have been another woman, you know. Hey, they've always used, you know, us to get things done anyway. See, everybody believed the white man, so-called white man, could never fight against one another or be in competition with each other. Look at your Popeye's chicken sandwiches and look at your Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. Look at your Burger King chicken sandwiches. They're all controlled by the same people. But they compete with each other. They've always done that. Look at your NFL. Look at your NBA. You know, NBL. Look at everything they do. Everything they do is about sport. Okay? And which brings me to bread and circuses. That's what this thing is all about. This is bread and circuses, man. All this, I don't give a damn what Kanye said about some Harriet Tubman when you really think about it. What does it even matter? People screaming, oh, they want to put the money, the face of a woman on your money. So why didn't they put the face of a white woman on their money? You know? You notice they don't have the so-called white woman doing great things. They do that to you Israelites. You're on the bottom. So while you're on the bottom, the best thing to do is put your man on the bottom. And when your man is on the bottom, you are a destroyed people, man. But we're coming up. You know, we're coming against all those lies. Bread and circuses, a palliative offered especially avert potential discontent, you know. And that word palliated means to reduce violence or disease, also to ease the symptoms without curing the underlying disease, like when they give you those pills. Your body's still in havoc, but they just giving you medicine to cover up what's going on. And this is what you see with these incidents, these bread and circus incidents, man. That's why we're supposed to be vigilant and watch. That's all I have on that. Shalom.